I don't know how the Trump campaign keeps making this situation so much worse, but it is almost impressive at this point. I have a lot to break down today regarding Trump, regarding Kamala's poll numbers, and regarding Mark Robinson's restructuring of his campaign, if we want to call it that. First, I want to read you this tweet from Amar Musa that reads, "Yikes, the Trump campaign is running ads in Georgia featuring a picture from the country of Georgia. Just a top-notch operation over here with the Trump campaign." It says, "Whoops, former President Donald Trump's campaign launched targeted digital ads on social media over the weekend focusing on local Republicans with a beautiful backdrop of an endless mountain range in Georgia. The only problem is, it was the wrong Georgia. It was the country Georgia in Europe, which is absolutely insane. And this is what happens when you outsource your campaign to the most incompetent people possible." And that brings me onto the subject of today's video. Mark Robinson, the North Carolina gubernatorial candidate who called himself a, quote, black Nazi and a perv who loves to piss on his wife's sister's face. Sorry, too much information. But this dude essentially completely restructured his campaign, and what ended up happening is beyond hilarious. We have 44 days to go until the election and no time to waste, so make sure you leave a like, make sure you're subscribed. We're trying to hit 600K before the election. And this reads, earlier yesterday, North Carolina Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson announced that several top political aides had resigned from his campaign. But that's just part of the story. A vast majority of his campaign staff had quit. WUNC reports that Robinson had just 3 campaign staffers left, and now it is entirely too late for Mark Robinson to drop out and be replaced. But the updates that have happened since then are so incredibly hilarious, because not only is Mark Robinson trapped in his own campaign hell where he is stuck on the ballot, he can't even go out and campaign because people in the state of North Carolina don't want to see him anymore. He can't campaign on behalf of Trump or himself or other people running for MAGA seats in North Carolina. He's just trapped on the ballot in a race that he's going to lose. It's like he is watching the train wreck happen in real time, but he is the conductor of the train right now. And this is where the hilarious update comes in today. Let's start right here. Jack Burkman tweeted out, "I am officially announcing tonight that I have assumed the position of acting campaign manager for Mark Robinson of North Carolina." Jack says, "Mark is a great American and a perfect governor for North Carolina. We look forward to a big victory in November." And you already know it's going to be bad when this tweet has 1.9 thousand likes and 1.7 thousand replies. But let's go back and read a little bit about Jack Burkman. Burkman tweeted out a few months ago in July, "Sources say that President Biden is receiving palliative care and has less than 24 hours to live." And this was months ago. And since then, Jack Burkman has tweeted out conspiracy theory after conspiracy theory about President Biden being on the verge of death or even dying on Air Force One. And it just goes to show that the MAGA universe, everybody has completely lost their minds. Mark Robinson's entire campaign was fleeced, and it was replaced by Jack Burkman. Some more information. Jack Burkman is an American conspiracy theorist, fraudster, convicted felon, and conservative lobbyist. Burkman and far-right conspiracy theorist Jacob Wall have allegedly been responsible for multiple unsuccessful plots to frame public figures for fictitious sexual assaults, including in October 2018 against Robert Mueller, 2019 against Pete Buttigieg. I know he's done this about Elizabeth Warren, AOC, April 2020 about Anthony Fauci. This man is a dangerous, disgusting conspiracy theory. And in response to Jack Burkman's tweet, somebody named Riot Women, I'm assuming they live in North Carolina, said, "This you, wow. North Carolina, just say no to Mark Robinson. This is so insulting. Republican leaders should have found and supported a substantive, normal candidate in North Carolina. We all know there were better choices. Shameful. And now, the MAGA Republican Party in North Carolina is trapped with an absolute freak as a gubernatorial candidate who can't even campaign, and the person running his campaign is a fraudster, conservative conspiracy theorist, far-right sexual assault accuser. I mean, this man is absolutely disgusting, but it's not really surprising, because if you think about it, Donald Trump surrounded himself with Laura Loomer many, many times before the debate, before the 9/11 memorial ceremony, and Laura Loomer has also said that President Biden is on the verge of death or that he died. Laura Loomer has spread conspiracy theories about President Biden being dead, about 9/11 being fake, about the COVID vaccines, about the election. She has spread every conspiracy theory in the book, and Trump still surrounds himself with these types of people. So it just shows the character that exists, or the lack thereof, within the Republican Party right now. Now, I want to transition over to this story that is going to be talked about a lot, and I want to give you guys my personal takeaway, because my grandpa moved from Syria. My dad is Muslim. Their entire side of the family are Muslim, and I grew up very heavily connected with the Muslim community, so I have some unique takes on this article that reads, Mayor of only Muslim-run city in the U.S. endorses Trump for re-election. Amr Ghalib, who leads a city in the battleground state of Michigan, says the Republican is the, quote, right choice despite disagreements. Now, there's so much wrong with this, I don't even know where to begin, but let's just start with the fundamental facts. When Trump got into office, on his first day, he enacted a Muslim ban, banning people from Muslim-majority countries, and this affected my family directly. My family was on the news because we had relatives coming from Syria to visit a dying family member in the States, and they couldn't get over here. Biden removed that Muslim ban his first week in office. There's a night and day difference. Even if you're going to say that Israel-Palestine is your most important issue, which that is fine, Republicans are demonstrably worse. Trump wants to surround himself with people like Jared Kushner, who have said that Gaza would make great beachfront property. And of course, Biden and Harris don't have to be perfect, but they have applied pressure on Netanyahu. They have sent humanitarian aid. They have put sanctions on West Bank settlers. So of course, Harris is not going to be perfect. You don't have to think that. But Donald Trump would genuinely work against your interests. That is another reason why Muslim Americans should not vote for Donald Trump. And if you're wondering why a Muslim American like this dude would ever vote for somebody who doesn't even want them to be in the country, there's actually a pretty simple answer. Now, minorities in America tend to vote blue because of how racist Republicans are, but if you look at the polls, a lot of minorities in America tend to be quite socially conservative. So whether we're talking about Hispanic Americans or even Black Americans who are very religious, or let's take Muslim Americans, for example. Now, I'm going to pull from my experience growing up in and around the Muslim community. I'm not Muslim, but I've been to the mosque many times. I've talked to these people many, many times in my life. So I don't mean to generalize here, but I am going to say Muslim Americans tend to be more anti-LGBTQ rights. They tend to not be as progressive on women's rights or transgender rights as many people think. I mean, many minorities in America are so religious that they are socially conservative, and that is the case with this dude on the right. Amr, this reads, Ghalib's politics are idiosyncratic. He banned pride flags from being displayed in 2022. He attended a Michael Flynn event last year and has said some pretty questionable stuff on social media in the past. So again, I'm not trying to generalize all Muslims and saying they're not progressive. This dude in particular has banned pride flags because his constituents in Michigan wanted him to do that. I have grown up and around the Muslim community. Many of them aren't as progressive as some people on Twitter would like you to think. I've seen people on Twitter that say all Muslims just want trans liberty, and it's like, that is not the reality in America. I'm sorry, but that is not the reality. And here is Amir Ghalib saying this. Ladies and gentlemen, let me be clear. Our expectations are realistic. President Trump and I may not agree on everything, but I know he is a man of principles. None of this is true, and I think our main takeaway should be a lot of Trump's power comes from his willingness to build careers for random people. So Trump is able to court these smaller figures because I know he guarantees them a national career. We can take Mark Robinson, for example, who was an absolute no-name just a year back, and now he is a national figure because he hopped on the MAGA train. So when we're looking at Amr and the choices he had, let's run a quick thought experiment from his point of view. Either he hops on the Trump train after Trump probably offered him national fame, a steady career, an endorsement, a fan base in the MAGA world, or he can hop on the Kamala Harris train, which Harris has more morals, but she doesn't value loyalty in a weird way, and she's not going to promise to build careers for these small politicians. So again, I think Trump's power, a lot of it comes from him wielding the Republican Party and saying, I will build you a career. I will make sure you are loved. When he was trying to overturn the results of the 2020 election, he kept saying, I will make sure the base loves you. The Republicans will love you. You don't want MAGA to hate you. So Trump essentially wields the voters as a tool, and that's how he gains his power. If you enjoyed this video, if you learned something new, leave a like, comment a blue heart, hit that subscribe button so you can join this beautiful community. Let's hit 600K before the election. Have a great rest of your day. Peace out.